Hello, hello. This is Tina from Via Feng Shui. Look who's here. Jeremy Bills is in the house with me today.
Yay! Hi!
Oh my gosh. I love that we're kind of on the same wavelength and we love diving into charts. And have we got an interesting group of people to explore today? Now, let's just clear judgment right off the bat, right? It's really easy to get in and judge people based on their charts. And yes, we live on a planet of free will. We have choices that we get to make. And sometimes this is just somebody's path, right? We have a lot of contrast on this planet so that we can get really clear on what we want in our lives. And sometimes, who knows, maybe it's a karmic thing that shows up when you have somebody quite intense and kind of out of the norm. But I think it's worth looking at all this fun stuff. And hopefully you've looked at our Biden-Harris readings. We did Britney Spears. Today we're exploring serial killers. And I think it's quite fascinating that they're all men. No judgment. I just think it's quite fascinating that they're all men.
Yeah.
Well, 4 of them for sure. But we're looking at 5 charts. We're looking at 4 serial killers, and then we're bringing in at the tail end. So hang on with us for the tail end, because there's a chart that maybe many of us aren't expecting to see in this grouping. It's just a little kind of detective work I think we're doing here. And so, we're starting off with the big one, Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy.
What do you think about all this?
Oh, right off the bat. Well, as I was telling Tina earlier, I've been hanging out with serial killers this morning, researching their charts, which has been really kind of interesting.
We're going to have to go shake this off afterwards.
I already had to do a ritual while I was researching. I was just like, okay, this is kind of crazy. But yeah, it was kind of interesting to kind of read these charts and again, like you were just saying, drop the judgment, but it was a very kind of interesting journey into the minds of these people, their charts and their energies, and the energies that possibly motivated them to go down the path that they went down.
Yeah, it's this. So what we're doing here is the 4-pillar Chinese astrology. And so we're taking the charts. We found their information, their birth information online. We calculated their charts. I put them into kind of a prettier format for us to look. And it's what we're doing as Chinese astrologers or any kind of astrologer oftentimes is looking for patterns, looking to see if there's some connection, right? Not that we want to like, oh my gosh, you have the same chart as this person, you could be like them. Because we have to remember and keep in mind that even though this might be their birth chart, they had outside influences, right? It could be parental neglect or abuse. It could be societal. There's so many other things that shape who we are. We can't just depend on the chart. There's just too much. It could be this major bully in 3rd grade that just was relentless. So we never know. However, there is some tendencies or possibilities or potentials within the chart that if there isn't a healthy support system for a child or a person, that it's a little easier for them to get down a path that maybe isn't the healthiest. I'm going to let you start. Will you tell us a little bit about Ted Bundy?
Well, Ted Bundy is a serial killer who admitted to 30 rapes and also killings. But it's said that there could have been more that he wasn't very clear in his last days, whether or not that was all he did. He alluded to the fact that there was more. So we really don't know what was going on. And he went on a killing spree from 1974 until 1978.
Okay. And I know he's been in Utah where we are. There's some connection here, right?
Yeah, there is. I think it was at the Cottonwood Mall where he picked up someone and I think she got away. I'm not sure about the details about him being in Utah, but I know he was in Utah. I know there was a house he lived in the Avenues. I had a friend when I was younger that lived in that house and to come and visit her because they said the energy was weird in there, but I don't know. So,
Wow, interesting.
yeah.
So is there anything that stands out?
Well, first of all, just looking at the elements and the percentages, right off the bat, you can see that what supports him and also his output are the exact same percentage, and they're the lower percentages in his chart.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, when you see someone having a lower output than their day master, they feel really defeated. These are people that really put a lot of hard work in whatever they're doing, but then if they're only getting half of the percentage back, they feel kind of defeated, like whatever they're going to do isn't going to be enough, and they need to be working hard and putting more hard work into whatever they're doing.
And that's such a misnomer because, if he's already putting 30% effort into life, but only getting half of the output, we have a tendency to default thinking we're not doing enough.
Yeah.
I need a higher education. I need to work longer hours, or I need to prove myself even more. When that's not the case, because there's plenty here. It's just increasing the output rather than continuing to increase the input.
Yeah.
I like what you said because his 30%, he's kind of up here by himself, isn't he? Where he doesn't have anybody supporting him, nobody really to connect to, and he kind of feels isolated.
Yeah.
And we know that yang water and even that level of yang water is ocean. It's dark, it's mysterious, it's unpredictable, it's very deep and very depressive energy. And that could be an issue. I don't know if I would imagine there's some mental, depression or something going on there.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that I found that was really quite interesting is when you go lower to his animals, he's got a lot of interesting animals, but no peach blossoms. And peach blossom in Chinese astrology or in feng shui are that sexual attraction, that physical attraction, which I find interesting because Ted Bundy was very charismatic, very good looking, and part of the allure for him to lure people into his car to help him, or whatever trap he was laying for people to come and help him.
Yeah, and that's totally Pig. Pig is charming. Yep. They almost, I would wonder, I'd love to know the conversations because they almost are projecting, and this is how I can help you. And he's got the dog, which is very loyal, and so it feels like a manipulation.
Yeah.
To create this sense of trust and loyalty with him.
And then there's also, as soon as he would set up the loyalty, then he would lock the doors and they couldn't get out. So then that young fire dog almost turned into a wolf. It's kind of predatory energy. And then you've got the young fire tiger, again, very predatory energy.
Yeah. A tiger is going to pounce at the opportunity.
Yeah.
It has its eye on the prize. It's always hyper focused on the outcome, rather than so much the journey. And the pig we know is kind of that indulgent creature. And if he has this insatiable appetite, right, that he needs to be fed. And so, maybe it was less about the sexuality part of it and something else that it was fulfilling.
Well, and the pig and the tiger are secret friends. So they work together. There was a really nice choreography that they had going to lure people in to get them where he wanted them, which is, when you look at a chart from that perspective, it's kind of interesting how our energies, the elements, and the animals work together once you know all of the facts.
Absolutely. So, based off when were the years that you said he was?
He started the killings in 1974 to 1978.
So, what we're not showing here on this screen is his luck pillars, and that period of time. He was in another pillar, which is a 10-year luck pillar, and it was a yang fire horse. And so speak to how that yang fire horse energy is shifting the energy of his chart and would make him...
Well, the yang fire, what that would do is it would increase the percentage of his fire element. that is what he controls, his luck. So again, that gave him a huge amount of control, not over on different situations, but also over other people. And the horse, it wants to run free. It wants to charge forward and go on its own path. It doesn't really want to be around a lot of other people. It wants to be alone and just on its own path.
Wow. And even the tiger dog horse combination, that's the ambition trinity. Super driven.
Yeah, that's what I was
the dog
say.
and the tiger and the horse, they're hunter animals. They're all involved in hunting. And so I think it was just like a perfect alignment in that period. And onto the bottom left here, we want to speak a little bit too, because we could, this chart we're looking at is his birth chart. But we can also take a look at his, a little bit like what luck pillar he was in when he was executed, because that's how he ended up dying. Of course, he was criminally charged, sentenced, and then executed. And he was in the transition from a yin water rabbit into a yangwood dog luck pillar to kind of end his life. Any thoughts around that?
Well, I mean, ending your life in the same pillar that your year pillar, which is soul's path, your life path. He also died. He was also executed during an ox month that created a penalty with his, with this, let's see, what am I looking at here? Water rabbit. Oh, okay. That was something, I was looking at something completely different. But yeah, he died in an ox month, and then his death was during the water rabbit into the dog. Oh, that's what I was looking at. So into the dog. He died during the dog luck pillar, and he died during ox month, which creates a penalty.
It does.
That's an interesting combination there.
It really is. Yeah, that double pig too, is just kind of really doesn't have boundary. The dog doesn't create boundaries either. And often what I tell people is the dog doesn't create healthy boundaries to protect itself. People with the pig need to create boundaries with the pig to protect themselves from the pig. So the lines are very blurred in his chart, aren't they?
Yeah, and especially with that 30% water. Like you said, it's like the ocean. Not only are there blurred lines everywhere in his life, but it's very deep. I mean, there's no way to control the ocean.
No, there isn't. Not at all. Wow. Anything else before we move on to...
No, I think that's all I have on him.
Let's see if I can transition to the next page effortlessly. There we go. Richard Ramirez.
Richard Ramirez.
Tell us about him.
Well, he is considered he's been called for years, he's been called the Night Stalker. He killed 13 people. He was considered a pedophile and a burglar. He went on a killing spree from 1984 to 1989. And he also, during his killing spree, was said to be staying at the Cecil Hotel in downtown LA, which also has a Netflix limited series on it right now.
That was a good one.
Really good one. So really kind of creepy hotel, creepy energy. And he was staying there while he was committing all of these horrific crimes.
Didn't he have some connections to satanic stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. Most of his murders, he was leaving satanic symbols. And when the police caught him, he said, "Hail Satan" or "Praise Satan," something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I made a connection when you said Night Stalker, because he's the year of the rat, and rats are nocturnal, right?
Yeah,
That's
they
when
are.
They come out is in the dark, in the shadows.
It's not in Ted Bundy's chart, but a lot of these charts that we're going to be seeing from now on, they all have rats in them. And like a rat is a night animal. It's very sneaky. It's very intelligent.
Very calculated, very planned. Nothing, I don't think, would be too unpredictable.
Yeah.
Although, you know what? He's got the tiger and pig just like Ted Bundy did.
Just like Ted Bundy did.
We're already seeing some patterns, aren't we?
Yeah, we're seeing the pattern of how these people were able to lure people in to get close to them and then attack.
Yes.
first off, right off the bat, I mean, when you look at his day master, it's fire energy, yin fire energy. And yin fire people, rather, yang fire is more like the sun energy, whereas yin fire is more like a match.
Mm-hmm.
And since he has such a low percentage of fire in his day master, this is an example of someone who's constantly searching for themselves. They're not really sure where they're going in life. They're not really sure what they're doing, how they're going to do it. They're often considered drifters because they're kind of going from one thing to the other, not really knowing what to do.
Yeah, because, he's got these other three elements that speak louder or have a greater presence. So he might be trying out these different kinds of personalities, or maybe at some point in his life he's kind of, let's see how earth works for me, or being really disciplined and really rigid or really deep. But he's got it's hard to keep a fire going and keep his light and keep his well-being. And even he was probably, I would guess, I don't know, a not a healthy person, because his yin fire because the yin fire comes from his day master, which is his health. And without a strong day master, we struggle physically, energetically. And so I would wonder if, how depleted his own light was, his own energy.
Well, it was obviously depleted because he died of lymphoma. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, he actually died of cancer. He wasn't executed. He was awaiting execution when he died.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, he was, his fire was very dim. But I find it interesting that the highest one is metal, and that happens to be in his luck and what he controls. So we're seeing a theme with the motivation of these killings being because of the control that they had over other people.
Where the first chart, he didn't have much to control. This chart, things are out of his control.
Exactly.
And so what do we try to do when things are out of our control? We just want to hold on even tighter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and when you look and when you look around the wheel a little bit at the wood element, again, it's lower than all of the other elements. So this is, again, another person who never felt support, the support that he needed or wanted. So,
and a lot of times that's parental support.
Yeah. Yeah, and that wood energy comes from the family pillar. So parents. So he never felt supported by his parents. So, and again, like you were saying before, it's like you have to look at all of the elements of what makes up a person: their past, their present, their future, their personality, the elements. All of it plays a part.
Yeah.
But he's got a few interesting animals. He's got the ox and the rat, which are secret friends. He also has the tiger and pig, which are secret friends. And we were talking about with Ted Bundy's chart how the pig and the tiger would work together to lure people in. Whereas the rat, it's all about that calculation, all about the calculated energy of it all.
Yeah, and very secretive. Very, very secretive. So he was really active doing this during a yin metal snake luck pillar. And the snake on the zodiac wheel is in opposition of the pig, which is his, that's his well, that's not his master self, but it's his physical energy and everything. So it's almost like, when we move into a snake luck pillar, we move into a time of lots of change, lots of internal awareness and growth, and things surfacing and us shedding things that no longer serve. That's a very uncomfortable place for an ox, a pig, or a rat to be. Those animals do not like change.
No.
And so it'd be, I just wish we could tap into like what really happened to push into that.
And like you said before, the metal energy, adding to that metal energy was probably making things be even more out of control than they already were.
Yeah. And the snake is the seductor, right? It hypnotizes and it is manipulative and can really come in there and be very harmful.
And also very good looking person, very, very good looking. And then when you add the snake energy to that, then...
So you said he died of lymphoma. That was a Yang wood monkey luck pillar he was in. There's another clash.
Yep, there's another clash. Clashes with the tiger. Yeah.
Tiger's his destiny pillar.
Yep, and it also creates a damage with the pig. So a lot of different elements that were coming in at the end of his life, and yeah, he was awaiting for execution.
Okay. Wow.
When he died.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Really kind of interesting.
Yeah. Anything else before we move on?
No, that's all I've got on him. But what I'm finding so interesting about all of these charts is my mind can't really wrap itself around the calculation that all 4 or possibly 5 of these men had to be working out in their brain to be working out these horrible crimes.
Yeah. Oh, such a good point. Well, this is a serious one, right?
Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, they're all terrible, but Jeffrey Dahmer, considered the Milwaukee cannibal. He was responsible for the murder and dismemberment of 17 men and boys. He went on his killing spree. His killing spree lasted a long time. It was from 1978 until 1991. So he was perhaps the luckiest of all of these. And then maybe the next one too. But this is interesting. In all of the research that I was doing on these charts, this is the only one that had any mental illnesses actually listed, because I guess while he was put away, he was evaluated by some psychiatrists, and they diagnosed him with borderline personality disorder, schizophrenia, and psychotic disorder. So major mental illnesses and major imbalances there.
Yeah. You know, it's so weird because when you're talking about the cannibalism and how he preserves skin, look at the snake.
Yeah, that was my first thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and we've seen a couple of snakes now.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and the rat is showing up again.
Yep.
Holy smokes! I mean, look at his element wheel. You spoke to this about with the first one, Ted Bundy not really knowing who he is. Yeah. Like, this guy had no clue. He's probably just being metal. Think about the tools he had to use.
Yep. And he did. He had a lot of different tools.
And that's metal energy.
Yep.
Very, sewing and, making body suits and masks and, yeah. Wow. Oh, this is so intriguing.
It's intriguing. It's so freaking creepy.
This lack of wood here is no self-discipline, no self-responsibility.
No boundaries.
Yeah.
No, just zero, this is the kind of person that does things and then doesn't even think there's anything wrong with it. Mm-mm. Like, it's not my fault. It's everybody else's. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting. And and again, we're noticing a theme. A lot of these people had zero support, not in percentages, but very little support from parental influences.
Yeah. And I keep looking at his monkey in that first pillar, because the monkey lacks empathy. And so it's really, if he had a rabbit here, I don't know if he could do what he did. Right? Because a rabbit is sensitive and caring and compassionate. Yeah. So this monkey really allowed him to stay at such a strange level of detachment.
Yeah, absolutely. And then working hand in hand with secret friends of the snake, that kind of slithery energy.
Yeah.
His emotions were able to work together with his mind to create this whole scenario here.
Wow, brilliant.
And then
go ahead.
And then his other animals, the rooster and the rat, that's breakup energy. So parts of him that worked really well together, but then parts of him that didn't.
Yeah, I wonder even about his own internal kind of issues he was dealing with.
Well, and with borderline personality disorder, schizophrenia, psychotic disorder, I mean, what would the internal dialogue be?
Yeah.
Glad we don't know.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So that period of time that he was really active in doing this stuff that he was doing was a yin water sheep moving into a Yongwood monkey. So he's got water and he's got wood and sheep and monkey. You know, that monkey, that's just bringing the monkey. I wonder if that's when he just really took it to the next level, because there's two monkeys in here that don't care.
Yeah.
You know, and
since he has 0% wood, when he moved into that luck pillar with that young wood energy, that's what really motivated him. Control area is where you find motivation, what pushes you forward.
Yeah, that's your power.
Yeah. So that's when he became really powerful in this scenario and situation, and over the next decade was able to create so much carnage. And then when he was convicted and put away and went to prison, he was actually murdered by another inmate.
Yes.
And he was also awaiting, he was on death row awaiting execution. And he was in a dog luck pillar. Well, let's see.
Oh, I have wood rooster.
Oh, okay.
Do I have that wrong? Was it the...
I don't know. I don't know.
He was in 1994.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 34 years old.
He was murdered at the age of 49.
Oh, 49. 60. Oh, so I got those dates wrong. So maybe, yeah, then if it was young fire dog, that would be different.
Yeah.
That's my mistake there.
And then having that alignment creates damage to the rooster, which is his self, his body.
And the fire. Wow.
Interesting stuff here, because we're starting to see how these animals work together in the negative. I mean, you're in these charts, all four of these animals that are in everyone's chart, they have negative sides and they have positive sides. And we get to choose what direction we go with it. Are we going to choose the lighter side of the archetype, or go with the negative?
Yeah. It's all about free will and that support that you're getting. And we were seeing that so far, 3 out of 4 didn't get the support. They didn't get the guidance or the love, you know, however support shows up. You know, sometimes just knowing that somebody's there for you. And, you know, unfortunately, this is their experience. And it's interesting too, because his self is, his earth here is so low, but then his metal is so high. It's almost like it's not about me, it's what I'm able to do. See, look at what I can do, look what I can do.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what he would be like with that kind of an energy? Look at me, if he had done this during the time we are living in now with social media.
Oh, yeah.
You know, putting that out there, or putting weird, crazy, and I mean, I know there's people doing that.
Yeah,
now,
there are.
Imagine Jeffrey Dahmer in the age of social media.
There's another Netflix documentary about exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, really?
Who's actually done it? So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's interesting how. Yeah, and especially if you don't have a lot of support, that look at me goes through the roof.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's getting warm in this room. It's getting heavy. Go for a walk after this.
Okay.
Well, we're on to John Wayne Gacy, and we're already seeing more animals the same.
The same animals. We're seeing a lot of rats. We're seeing a lot of snakes. Yeah, it's a very interesting combination. Now, John Wayne Gacy, he's considered the killer clown. He assaulted and killed 33 young men and boys and buried them in his property underneath his barn. So, yeah, it's rat energy. I mean, rat energy. He was so emotionally smart. I mean, emotional intelligence. And I shouldn't skip the elements, but he has a very low output. So the opposite of Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer has a lot of output. Look at me, look at me, look at me. He has almost none, 2.5%, which means nobody saw him.
Yeah.
He was able to fly under the radar as a clown.
As a magician.
Yeah, not have anyone understand or see what he was doing. So he almost used that 2.5% metal as a disguise.
That doesn't surprise me with the disguise stuff, because if we take a quick look at his rat and his horse, those animals are in opposition. And when you have an animal that presents itself to the world like his horse, and the opposite animal, because the horse wants to be seen and is out there and very about his physicality, and who he is on the inside is opposite.
Yeah.
Very mental, very fearful. They're opposing forces, and typically when this shows up in a chart, you are misunderstood. People don't see the real you because what you're presenting is a false front. And so the hiding behind magic and the masks and the clowns and this other identity is totally speaks to this rat horse. It's like you don't realize, you think you're talking to one person, but you don't realize the conniving that's going on inside.
Yeah. Well, and on top of all of that, he has the rat and the rabbit, which create a penalty. And usually this penalty leans towards someone being kind of speaking out of turn or not having any kind of tact whatsoever or being rude, saying things. So I imagine one of the reasons why he had a disguise is because he was probably really socially awkward.
Wow,
and if you're a clown, you can say anything you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people laugh and clap and yeah.
That's brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah, lots of water.
The horse, which is a breakup. Sorry?
Yeah. The horse breakup with what?
The rabbit and horse breakup energy.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of components in his life that were not working together. The rabbit is in the family pillar. The year pillar is the horse. Rabbit and horse are very different. Rabbits tend to be really timid and really nervous and anxious about everything, whereas horses want to go. They want to bolt.
Yeah. Horses have more confidence and just don't be told what to do. They're less reliant on others. They create their own rules.
Yeah. So he started his murdering spree from 1972 until 1978, and he was in a fire horse luck pillar. Which is interesting because the other ones, a lot of the element that was supported was the pressure or what controls you or motivates you. Whereas in his case, it was his fire element, which made him feel more supported. So it's kind of interesting that was the phase in life when he started moving forward with these things.
I wonder too if those double horses with the horse in his year pillar and the luck pillar, really came after his rat. And really made him feel less than, right? And really struggle emotionally. And so he used the horse energy to express it externally and get it out here. Because he's got a lot of water. And we know that water, is what governs the rat. That's just another, like we've seen in the past, somebody who has little control or way things are out of control.
Yeah.
And his water element in comparison to his earth, has nothing, he can't control that.
Yeah. It's out of control.
It's too much.
Yeah.
And so he committed suicide, huh?
I think so. I didn't see that, but yeah. During the monkey pillar. And also, let's see, died during a snake month as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And the monkey and the snake are penalty and breakup.
Yeah. So a lot of that energy, when they were toward the end of their lives, there was energy that was affecting their physical self. So. Yeah.
Wow.
John Wayne Gacy.
Incredible. I wanted to do
That's
Jack
all.
the Ripper, but we can't find a
I
calculator.
don't think we know what time he was born.
Yeah, right. So we're including one more here, and it's it's somebody that we know, but it's not somebody that we're just at maybe suspicion or
Yeah.
theories or gossiping or
Yep.
allegations. So we're just going to present that because it's current. All these guys are in the past. So we're
Yeah.
bringing somebody in who has a current energy to see if maybe these allegations, we can kind of look at it one way or the other. Do you want to introduce this?
Well, and like Tina said, this is all alleged. This is all accusations. So we're actually going to be looking at the chart of the famous actor Armie Hammer, who has been accused of multiple rape allegations, and then also an alleged cannibalism scandal that started in January due to some leaked texts from some of his exes. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. Here again, we're seeing some of the same animals. We've got the rat and we've also got the tiger.
Yeah.
But this is something that we haven't seen in any of them. We actually have a trinity in the actual chart, which is the rat, dragon, and monkey. And this is the trinity of creativity, which explains the acting. And again, he's the only one who isn't very attractive in all of these was John Wayne Gacy. So, of course, he had a mask, right? Where Hammer's very, very attractive. In his elements, we have a low controller, a low element that pushes you forward. And since it's metal energy, I find that really interesting. Whereas we saw a lot of higher metal elements in some of the other charts.
Yeah, I was surprised too at how, but this can, when this is really high like this, and then there's a weaker energy, this can speak to some narcissism. This can speak to some self-fulfilling kind of energy that kind of makes them stand out a little bit from others. And I apologize for this flashing thing. I don't know how to get rid of it.
That's okay.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. And another element that's lower is the luck area. And so when you have, those both are the control aspects of life, what you control and what controls you. So when both of them are low, there's a lot of confusion about what is going to motivate someone and what can they control in their lives.
I love that perspective. Wow. And again, low support in comparison to his master element.
Yeah.
Low support. I find this monkey-tiger conflict, because these are opposing animals that we've talked about before.
Yeah.
And he lives with that internal conflict between what he wants to do with his life, but how his mind is working.
Yeah.
We know how that monkey mind works. It really plays a mind game on you. And again, that lack of empathy. And then the dragon. This is the first time we're seeing a dragon. We've seen all these other animals, but the dragon doesn't like the rules.
Yeah. And they don't care about the rules because they're not earthbound animals.
Right.
The rules don't really apply to them. And then backing it up with that emotional intelligence of the rat, they're able to really, when you put all of those elements together, monkeys kind of don't care either. So when you put all four of those animals together, there's definitely some narcissism there, even if he did not commit any of the crimes that he's being of.
He feels like he would be challenging to have a conversation with that was challenging. It feels a little bit of manipulative and like you can't convince him otherwise. Like there's an elitist kind of view.
Right.
Like he knows it all.
Well, none of the animals have much of a soft side. I mean, the monkey is playful at best when they're experiencing a softer side, but when you look at all of the animals, there's not a softening effect. There's not an effect of, wanting camaraderie with other people.
It would be interesting to go back and read these charts as if we didn't know these people, right?
Yeah.
And read the positive, right? Look at the the potential, the heightened potential of who they could have been, had the nurturing been there, had and we're not saying that just because this is a low percentage here that your parents weren't there for you or you didn't get the support you wanted, but because some of us will move into regions of the world or invite, sit next to somebody at work that kind of brings that's maybe their element that they bring to your life.
Right.
So, but some of these people were more antisocial, so they weren't probably in the workforce. They weren't probably socializing at at any kind of a normal rate anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you look at the luck pillar that he's in now, which is the young middle rat, that is actually supporting what propels him forward, what really takes him forward in life.
Mm-hmm.
It also is supportive of that rat in the emotion pillar. But when you go into a luck pillar that is shared with one of your animals, you're going to experience the highest of highs in that realm, but also the lowest of lows.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And I would say, with all of the allegations, he's on an emotional roller coaster. It was just announced today that the major feature film that he's in that was supposed to be released spring of this year has been put on hold until 2022.
Oh, really?
So yeah, regardless of whether these allegations are false or not, he's on an emotional roller coaster.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So just to clarify, is it just him or was it his family that's being kind of pulled out as being involved with these murders and cannibalism?
I believe that it's some of his family member. I believe it's his sister that's kind of putting out a lot of the information as kind of blowing the whistle on the whole family.
Okay.
But the leaked texts are specifically towards Army.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. That fierce tiger there in his year pillar, I would just...
I mean...
That sister's brave.
Yeah. Yeah, especially that rat, though. I mean, I wouldn't want to mess with a rat mixed with a tiger because the rat was 10 steps ahead of everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So
he's wow.
It will be interesting to see how it all plays out, whether he'll, all of the charges will be cleared or if he's convicted. But in this day and age, I mean, all of the serial killers that we talked about got away with murder for quite a few years. It wasn't just a month or so of a killing spree. It was quite a few years. Whereas this person is very, very famous. We all have seen him. We've all been to his movies. So this is a person who's in the limelight. So to me, seems like it would be harder to get away with something like this in this day and age, in the age of technology. So
yeah, I agree. Although he's that tiger that gets camouflaged.
Yeah.
And that dragon who can just skim the surface of all the laws and the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
And that monkey that can just turn on the charm and turn on the performance factor.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I think monkeys are really good at is distractions.
Yeah.
They tell you to look over here while it's going on over here. So,
well, this will be an interesting one to see play out.
Yeah.
This has been fun.
Yeah.
I love just popping in and seeing the charts and especially, kind of brainstorming with you and picking your mind, and it's really cool. And you have a great idea that you mentioned, before we hit record.
Well, we've been brainstorming on different charts that we want to explore. So if you want to comment below on what public figure or well-known person or celebrity who you'd like us to visit their chart and take a look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't need to be a whole group of people. It could be one person, who we see on TV, or you've been curious past or present,
Yeah.
It'll be best if they're born, since 1900, just because that we can, the calculators that we use only go back that far.
Yeah.
But drop below, and we'll see, maybe we'll pull your person and we'll do a chart reading for you here on YouTube. Well, this is
love
cool.
it.
And
it's so fun.
Yeah, and if you're looking at this and you're watching this and it's like you think this is kind of my chart. We're not saying anybody's a serial killer. We're not trying to call that out. We're just using this as an educational tool. I think honestly it's probably more for you and me. Jeremy and I.
Well, it's fun.
It is.
I mean, I was telling Tina before we started this, I have a lot of the same animals that these serial killers that they have, but I'm also the kind of person that doesn't get away with anything, and my brain doesn't wrap itself around all of the things. I was reading about it today, and God, this is crazy. I cannot relate to any of this.
That's good.
Yeah.
I appreciate that about you.
Yeah.
I know we do have more charts in the docket of, what we want to do, but if somebody wants us to do a different one, we'd be happy to jump on and share.
Yeah.
And until we do that again, do you have anything else you want to add or say before we sign off?
Don't kill people.
Right? Do we have to say that?
Don't kill people.
It's kind of like the sayings I see. It's like, be kind, be a nice person. It's like, really, you have to remind your family to be nice? We have to tell people don't kill each other.
I mean, don't kill people. Go to the store and get some Haagen-Dazs ice cream and eat the whole carton. That's much better than killing each other.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Or call us, right?
Maybe you just need a chart reading.
Exactly. No judgment.
Steer you on your path.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll help you bring some clarity and get you nice little loving support there. Because this is where you and I show up, right?
Yep.
When we show up for a client, we're right here with you.
Yep.
We're your resource. We're your support system, your cheerleaders. You got this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. It's so good to see you.
You too. Bye-bye.